The anti-labor world's greatest newspaper will always be here for you. So come on.
That is correct.
Best concert? Yeah, it's Steve Miller Band and the Eagle.
That is correct.
World's greatest newspaper. That's Michael Girardi here on the Ben Joravsky Show, playing all the top hits. Coming up, your weather report and so much more. You're listening to the Ben Joravsky Show.
Oh, seriously, that song's awesome. World's greatest newspaper from Mike Girardi. He sent me an email, or no, I think he put it in the live stream chat. The initials on World's greatest newspaper, WGN. Huh.
That is correct.
Why do I keep picking it up now? Love that song, man.
Absolutely.
Love it. I love the drum. Michael Girardi, man, doing his Ray Davis. Now, D, it's not Davies, it's Davis, okay? And I actually looked that up, man. That's how the Brits say it. It's like, all these years I was doing it wrong. I was wrong.
Go figure. Go figure.
Me.
Go figure. You were wrong.
How embarrassing. I mean, God.
All right, let's get today's Ben Joravsky Show underway. Oh, Valley Girl Ben may be joining us for a while today. That's awesome.
No, that's my Christopher Walken imitation.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Wow. Love Chris. You like Christopher Walken?
Oh, absolutely. He's bizarre.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Say, I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell, and as Christopher Walken.
I got a fever.
And?
What? And what's the only prescription is what?
More cowbell.
And yeah.
The cowbell.
That Saturday night. Well, Will Ferrell kills it, man. Well,
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
more cowbell. Oh Lord!
All right.
Why do I keep picking it up now?
Let's rein it in here a bit. All right, your Ben Joravsky show for Wednesday, November 18th is moments away. But first, we got to thank the people who helped bring you this program, like the Chicago Reader. It's a great publication. It's awesome. ChicagoReader.com. Go check it out for all there is to know in the city of Chicago. You get articles from this guy, Ben Joravsky, as well as our colleague, Maya Dukmasova, and so much more. The Chicago Reader. Go subscribe. Go check it out. And if you want to help out this program, go subscribe to the Chicago Reader. It'd be fantastic. And today's Ben Joravsky show is brought to you by the Chicago Federation of Labor. All right, your song of the day does come from Frank. He's very good at picking these songs of the day. Play That Funky Music by Wild Cherry.
Oh, I love that. Play that funky music, white boy. Play that funky music. Always love that song. Always love that song. Whoa. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. The Ben Joravsky show starts now.
Where's my script? Oh, there it is.
Okay. Everyone hears that. It is Wednesday, November 18th, and live from my apartment in his attic, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, legendary Chicago journalist Monroe Anderson. And now your host, Chicago Reader columnist Ben Joravsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this Rudy Wednesday. And here's why. The Rudy is, of course, Rudy Giuliani. Who else? As in Rudy, do you love me?
Oh, there's
Actually,
three
that's a song
Rudys?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, I put two in the title.
Oh, gosh darn. Don't you hate when things like that happen? Hey, look.
I'm changing
I
it
spent
now.
the first 60 years of my life calling Ray Davies. So that's mild compared to me. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. Actually, that's a song from the 60s. Julie, Do You Love Me by Bobby Sherman. Perhaps Dennis's favorite singer. Anyway.
I love Bobby Sherman. I am down for the BS. Bobby Sherman.
I can guarantee you that young Dennis has never heard of Bobby Sherman. Nor should any of you. He's not worth knowing about. Don't look him up on the internet. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yeah. Rudy. It applies to Rudy and his good friend Donald Trump, who apparently loves Rudy very, very much, as he is allegedly considering paying Rudy $20,000 a day to handle his campaign's legal challenges. Notice I said allegedly. The allegations come in a New York Times story that I just read, and it says, and I quote, Giuliani asked the president's campaign to pay him $20,000 a day, according to multiple unnamed people briefed on the matter. That's 20 as in 20,000 with two T's. That's a lot of money, my friends. $100,000 a week, $5.2 million a year for legal services. It's more even, according to the Times, than the going rate for the top of the line lawyers in Washington, New York, which is only $15,000 a day, or hold on, damn this moment as I do the math, $3 million a year. Now, the key part of that sentence is allegedly, because Rudy Giuliani denies it. Yes, sir, he says it's not true. And I will now read to you Rudy's exact quote. Hold on, drink of water, prepare for this quote. Read.
There we go. All right.
It's so delicious, that water. Quote. Quote Rudy Giuliani. I never asked for $20,000. The arrangement is, we'll work it out in the end, unquote. And then Rudy said, quote, whoever said he made the $20,000 a day request is a liar, a complete liar. End of quote. Not just a liar, mind you, but a complete liar. I wonder what the difference between a liar and a complete liar is. I mean, if you're a liar, you're already a liar. It's like a half liar. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. You don't really need the complete, Rudy. Just saying. For the record, this is not the first time Rudy has called his accusers a liar. If you remember, he said the same thing about the scandal from Borat that I call Little Rudygate. We'll get to that later. So now the question is, who do I believe? Rudy Giuliani or his unnamed accusers? Now, this is a tough question. I want to be fair, so I'm going to sift through all the evidence. On the one hand, the accusers are, as I said, unnamed, so you don't really know, how much we can trust them, because anybody can say anything about anybody if they don't put their name on it. On the other hand, there are multiple unnamed accusers, so, I mean, not everyone could be making this stuff up. And then on the other hand, running out of hands one more time, Rudy doesn't have the greatest of all credibility when it comes to denouncing other people as liars. And that brings me back to Little Rudygate. If you recall, in the scene in Borat 2, when Rudy Giuliani's up in the hotel room with a TV reporter who's really an actress playing a TV recorder while the cameras are filming it all, and they're flirting with each other. And she puts her hand on his leg, and you can see Rudy getting all charged up. And then they cut to a scene in the next room, in the bedroom, and he's lying on his back on the bed with his hands deep down his pants. And I'm watching this thinking, oh no, please don't tell me you're playing with little Rudy. And just before we get that definitive answer, into the room bursts Borat, as played by Sacha Baron Cohen, and Rudy quickly pulls his hands out of his pants, and that ends that. Afterwards, the great debate raged. Was Rudy playing with little Rudy? To which Big Rudy said, no way, man. And anyone who says anything else is a big, fat liar. So when you consider the evidence, I'm starting to think that Rudy calling other people a liar is sort of his go-to counter move, if you get what I'm saying. Because it sure looked to me like he was playing with little Rudy. Anyway, it's not clear whether the representation Rudy's giving Donald Trump is worth $20 a day, much less $20,000 a day. Back to the New York Times story, and I quote, Mr. Giuliani, I love how the New York Times always called Mr. Giuliani, has encouraged Mr. Trump to believe a number of conspiracy theories about voting machine irregularities, and he's repeatedly insisted to the president that his other advisors have not been telling him the truth about his chances of success in legal battles. End of quote. In other words, Rudy's telling Donnie exactly what Donnie wants to hear. Dang, Trump, if that's all you want out of your legal representation, I'll do it for less than $20,000 a day. Of course, Donald will expect the money up front because, let's be frank, you don't have the best of all reputations for paying your legal bills. And who is ultimately footing the bill for all this? Well, who do you think, ladies and gentlemen? It's the same old red hat wearing suckers and saps known as MAGA. To prove my point, let me refer to you to this email solicitation I just received from Donald Trump telling me, quote, we need to fight back. Actually, this is my Donald Trump invitation. I can't feel it, D. We need to fight back. Contribute any amount immediately to the official.
There you go. Yeah.
To increase your impact by 1,000%. That last part, that really killed me. If you give money now, you'll increase your impact by 1,000%. It doesn't even make sense. It's not like he's saying anything. You know, like there's like the usual financial pledges. If you give $1, we'll match it with another $1. Something very specific and concrete. This is like you'll increase your impact by 1,000%. Means nothing. But I can see MAGA people all over the world like, whoa, I'll put my money in and something big will happen. MAGA loves Donnie. Anyway, I must confess, I did not contribute, D. I've never contributed to any fundraising appeal that I've received through the internet from Donnie. But that has not stopped Donald from sending me other emails day after day soliciting more money. I got to give him credit. He's persistent, but he has no choice. He's got to take care of Rudy. We got a great show today, everybody. Monroe Anderson.
That table is going to break, baby. That's going to go. I give it 2 more weeks.
It's a sturdy table. Got a lot of my unpaid bills on it, though. Just saw that. We have a great show today. Monroe Anderson will be here. He's not paying Rudy. By the way, he's been getting somehow or other, Monroe got on the same email list. That's really, Donald, I know you listen to the show every day. I'm just telling you right now, man, you're not going to get anything out of Monroe. I'm just, but he's persistent. Got to pay Rudy. Anyway, Monroe will be talking all about politics of the day. Before we do that, the young man from Alton, the man that Rudy Giuliani fondly calls Dr. D with the news.
Hey, everybody, how's it going? Never met that guy in my life. Ben, is there like a leaf blower or something going on in the background there at your place?
Yeah, there's a leaf. He's out. I was hoping you wouldn't.
Oh, no. Heard it loud and clear.
It. Yeah, it's a guy in the yard next door. There aren't any leaves out there, but he's out there.
Yeah. Well, it looks like
neighbor.
I don't hear it anymore, though. He shut the leaf blower off.
Yeah, he'll probably turn it back on again.
All right, well, maybe next time
he's probably listening to the show right now, and he's like, oh, my God. I'm going to turn this off.
I'm featured in the show. Like, okay. But, well, maybe if it comes on again, you just open up the window, and we'll just really let people hear it. How about that? Oh, my.
Oh, I hit him with the brown line. Everything's happening. We left the studio, D. It's a whole new day. You know what I mean? Leaf blowers, brown line, porta potties. What are you going to do?
We will miss you, Suntime Studio. All right, let's find out what's happening in Chicago and or Illinois this afternoon. We begin in Chicago, and we begin with Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Oh, good afternoon, Madam Mayor. How's it going?
Better sit up straight.
Yeah, please sit up straight. Tuck your shirt in. All right. Now, we do have breaking news on the budget, but first, let's unpack what went down this morning, all right?
Wait, hold it.
What?
You didn't do that breaking news thing.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Oh, the people want to hear the breaking news thing, okay?
We got to make them, okay. We do have breaking news on the budget, but first, let's unpack what went down this morning. Now, as we know, at the moment, the mayor is looking to get enough votes from her city council to pass her 2021 budget, a budget featuring a $94 million property tax increase. She needs 26 votes, but as we learned yesterday on the Ben Joravsky Show, she technically needs 25. Why is that again, Ben?
Because she would be the deciding vote if there was a 25-25 tie. But, it's just a technicality, okay? But I guess it would be pretty embarrassing if she, had to cast the deciding vote. But as I recall, Harold Washington was in a position like that back in the 80s, and he wasn't embarrassed by it. He was happy to cast the deciding vote, so... Just saying it's a technicality, right?
The only show that says 25, but hey, whatever.
Whatever.
That's our niche, Yeah. We're cheeky like that. All right, now will she get the votes? Yeah, more than likely. But according to the Chicago Sun-Times' own Fran Spielman, as Lightfoot struggles to find votes, the mayor has herself to blame. Oh, and guys, by the way, this is one hell of an episode of A Mayor and Her Alderman.
A mayor and her alderman.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Oh. I will shut you down. I will lock you up.
All right, so I have
something else to you.
So I have some aldermanic quotes to read here. A handful of our city council members talked with Fran Spielman about their thoughts on the mayor's rally to technically 25 votes. But before we get into that, Ben, I know you had something to say about this piece. I'll read the first line. Our listeners will then understand, obviously, why you had something to say about this piece. And you tell us what's up. Okay, Spielman writes, Mayor Rahm Emanuel convinced 35 aldermen to approve a $588 million property tax increase, the largest in Chicago history for police and fire pensions and school construction. Why then is Mayor Lightfoot struggling so mightily to find 26 votes for a property tax increase 1/6 that size, followed by annual increases tied to the cost of living? More Mayor Rahm mentions coming up in this article, but Ben, your thoughts?
hold on. I have to take a deep breath, Dave, because this could be just like a huge regurgitation all over my screen and my computer. Verbal regurgitation. Okay. Listen, why the difference between then and now? There are so many differences between then and now, not the least of which is that the people of the city of Chicago, urged on, I might add, by the editorial boards of both major newspapers and most of Civic Chicago, have decided that they want to move away from the days of Rahm. Okay? It's like, we don't like those old days. We don't like when aldermen are rubber stampers and just do whatever the mayor says. If the mayor says jump, they jump. If the mayor says sit, they sit. We don't like that. Remember that? Man, it's like this town's got amnesia. It's like you can't remember anything. So it's not exactly a virtue that aldermen did whatever the mayor wanted them to do, especially when the mayor was Mayor Rahm, who usually wanted to do dumb things that didn't help anyone, like a certain TIF deal that went down in his last meeting of the city council, Lincoln Yards TIF deal worth billions of dollars. We'll get into that, D. We'll get into that.
Take a chill pill, man.
Oh, Rahm, you should take the chill pill. Take 3 chill pills and come back in the morning and undo that TIF deal. So it's not like a good thing that in the old days, the city council did whatever Mayor Rahm did. And by the way, before Mayor Rahm, there was a certain Mayor Daley. It's like the city's forgotten him completely. Everything Mayor Rahm did was something he learned from Mayor Daley. The city of Chicago is incapable of remembering anything from past Rahm. Just one mayor, that's it. I can't think past. So it's not a virtue, that aldermen do whatever the mayor tells them. And this notion that somehow we're a more efficient city, we're a more less chaotic city. This was a theme that really irritated me when it was articulated in the movie City So Real. I wrote a column about it for the Reader, D. When the powers that be are just are dining at some penthouse dinner party Christy Hefner was throwing, and one of the members of the dinner party said, I hope that whoever wins the 2019 election does not bring in another Harold Washington-like situation, and is asked why, and he goes, because it was chaos. And that's this notion of civic Chicago and corporate Chicago, that somehow or other, things are running more efficiently if the aldermen are like little lemmings going off a cliff, doing whatever the mayor tells them to do. Because half the stuff that the mayor tells them to do, really nobody wants them to do in the first place, like give $2.3 billion or whatever it was for the Lincoln Yards deal. So, D, that right off the bat, it's not like it was a virtue that the aldermen did whatever the mayor told them. And in fact, I would say that the voters of Chicago overwhelmingly vetoed that way of doing business when they elected Lori Lightfoot. They expected a new day and age in the city of Chicago. Remember? Bring in the light, let in the light. Lori Lightfoot, who was endorsed by both newspapers, even a few podcast hosts, a little embarrassed to admit, voted for Lori Lightfoot. So it was supposed to be a new day. So I don't know why we're looking back at the old days when we rejected the old days. It's supposed to be a new day. And the sign of council debate and dissent is not a sign of weakness. It's not a sign of chaos. It's a sign of democracy. We're not a dictatorship. This is not an autocracy. We're not supposed to just do whatever the mayor says just because the mayor says to do it. So that whole notion, D, how do you put it? It grinds my gear. What's the gears being ground?
This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine.
Oh, that speech. Yeah, this little light of mine.
All right, now to our alderman and alderwoman quotes. Okay, actually, we begin with a quote from a former alderman. After we read the quote, you may understand why he's former. But anyway, when asked why the struggle to get the votes, former alderman Joe Moore, Ben of what ward,
Joey, 49th. Come on.
Okay, still got it, guys. Alderman Joe Moore said, quote, "She has not developed the kind of relationship that a mayor needs to develop to see a budget through in difficult times. When you're asking legislators to make politically tough decisions, it's always helpful." Okay, Ben, come on, let's power through. Let's power through.
Joey, come on, Joseph.
He said,
Go ahead.
when you're asking legislators to make politically tough decisions, it's always helpful to have built relationships of mutual respect and trust. One of the things that made Rahm so effective is that.
God.
Let's power through. Let's power through.
Rahm's so effective.
One of the things that made Rahm so effective is that most of the aldermen felt he had their backs. All right, Ben. Go.
Most of the aldermen were scared of him. And with you at the top of the list, Joey. I've known Joe Moore for a long time. I like Joe Moore. I knew Joe Moore back in the day when he was a liberal. Yeah, he was lefty. I remember Joe Moore in the 90s was one of the aldermen who would vote no on a Mayor Daley budget. And he was praised for his independence. I remember Joseph Joe Moore when he stood up for fair wages for workers in big boxes like the Walmart workers. In the face of much opposition from Daley, he did everything he could to undercut Joe. I remember Joe Moore when he was exactly the type of alderman he's now criticizing. And he made a transformation. I don't blame him for making the transformation, D. It's hard fighting the man. I've been fighting the man in this town since 1981. You know where that gets you? In your attic, looking at a porta potty. That's where it gets you. You think Joe Moore wants to sit in his attic looking at a porta potty and his neighbor blowing leaves?
Talking to me?
No. Yeah. Oh, come on. He would love to talk to you. No, I didn't say that. You said that. So, I mean, you don't get anywhere in the city of Chicago by standing up to me. Joe Moore, like, he did that for like 8 years. He goes, you know what? What did that get me? What did that? No, he did it for more than 8 years. Sorry, Joe. You did it for more than 8 years. You did it for like, I don't know, 12 years. I can't remember. Point is, Joe came to the conclusion, you know, what has this gotten me in life? I am as lowly regarded by the powers that be in this city as that weirdo columnist for the Reader, Ben Joravsky. Who wants to be known like Ben Joravsky? You know what I'm saying? It's like you could be hanging out with the real fast crowd of movers and shakers in the city, the David Axelrods and the Rahm Emanuels, or you could be hanging out with Dr. D in your attic. And he's like, oh, me, Dr. D, Rahm Emanuel.
And I like how whoever this person is pronounced your name correctly. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, young Joseph always pronouncing. He's not like Sue Garza. Joravsky or Jaworski. So yes, Joseph, I do not begrudge you that decision. That was the decision you made. You thought it was in the best interest for you and your family. You decided, you know what? Instead of fighting the man, I'll join the man. And you're not the first alderman that's done that. You stick around town, you see it happen a lot. You know, it's like, I'm tired of pounding my head against the wall. I'm tired of pushing for change that never seems to come. I'm tired of standing up for the people who are like too chicken to stand up for themselves. You know, people in the city of Chicago. Oh, Ben, my street was plowed. What a great city. You know, they don't ask for much, Chicagoans. So, you know, it's tiring. And Joseph said, you know what? I've been banging my head against this wall so much, I get a headache. And I'm sick of that headache. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop banging my head against the wall. And I'm going to hug the mayor, not fight the mayor. Come on here, hug. And so was. The young Joey was there to vote for the parking meter deal. Now you tell me, D, which kind of alderman would you, the people, rather have? One who would stand up and denounce the parking meter deal, in which we took an asset worth $10 billion and sold it for $1 billion and said, hey, Chicago, you got $1 billion, fully expecting the people of the city of Chicago to go, wow, I don't know the difference between 10 billion and $1 billion because I'm a Chicagoan and I believe whatever I'm told. So no, the notion of Joe Moore fondly recalling the days of Rahm Emanuel, just point out that Joe Moore was defeated in his last run for re-election from people in the 49th Ward who wanted to change. And Rahm would have been defeated, but he, unlike Joe, he didn't have the guts to run for re-election. I think I'll duck out here right now. I can read the writing on the wall. Got a job with George. I'd rather sit with Chris Christie, with George Stephanopoulos, braving COVID. Oh, please, Chris, don't cough on me. Then get my butt whooped by, I don't know, Lori Lightfoot. Probably. She was one of the few who had the guts to run against Rahm when, to jump in the mayor's race before Rahm announced he wasn't running. So, this got me going. Joe Moore reflecting on the effectiveness of a mayor, knowing full well that a decision an alderman makes to join an all-powerful mayor really has nothing to do with the working relationship cultivated by that mayor or the brilliance of that mayor's ideas, most of which aren't brilliant, or the effectiveness of the mayor's fiduciary strategies, most of which aren't effective, most of which are just punts as we try to punt this problem down the road and figure out what to do, hoping that the Fed's kicking some money to bail us out. Please, Joe Biden, please. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with, do I stick my neck out and get in trouble with the mayor by voting no? Get all a bunch of nasty phone calls? No. I think I'll just vote yes. It's a lot safer. That's what it has to do with, D. Come on, Joey. You know it's true. Joe Moore knows what's going on.
Come on, Joe Moore.
Come on.
Huh.
Come on, Joe.
Huh.
By the way, Dennis, here you go. 10 trivia points. If you pull this off, I'm going to buy you lobster at Red Lobster. Are you ready?
My favorite. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. For 10 trivia points, what high school did Joe Moore graduate from?
Oh, my God. He's a Whitney Young Dolphin, of course.
No, it's a trick question, and unfortunately, I'll be dining at Red Lobster by myself. I love the lobster roll.
6 feet. Stay away from me.
Evanston Township High School. Young Joseph grew up in Evanston and then later moved to Chicago.
Wow.
Like a certain podcast show host. But Joey's younger than me, so I didn't know him. Did not know young Joseph in high school. He's a young guy. He's a kid, all right?
All right. Now, rumor has it, too. We haven't really talked about this on the show. It's a great time to bring it up. Rumor has it Mayor Rahm may have a spot in Biden's cabinet. What do you think about that, Ben? Live stream chat weigh in as well.
Wait a minute. I can't even get the words out. I got to limit myself on this one? I'll just boil it down to this. Joe Biden, if you're listening to me, and I hope you are, please do not have anything to do with Mayor Rahm. Don't listen to his advice. Don't put him in your cabinet. Just let him sit over there with Chris Christie and George Stephanopoulos. But do not bring him in your cabinet. He was a disaster in the city of Chicago. He would have been rejected by the voters of the city of Chicago, but he was too chicken to run for re-election. His parting gift to the city of Chicago were 2 middle fingers raised high as he got his rubber stampers in the city council to approve 2 TIF deals that we can't afford. Now we're all crying over $94 million tax break. You just raised taxes, all billions of dollars for 2 TIF deals in gentrifying areas. Stop. You know what, folks? They really think you're stupid. They think you're stupid. They think you're stupid because the city council are like wrestling with the $94 million issue, property tax issue. And just a year or so ago, just like that, the same aldermen who are wrestling with the $94 million tax issue passed over $2 billion. They jacked up your taxes over $2 billion to pay for Lincoln Yards. They didn't wrestle with that. It's kind of weird. It's like, why is 94 million with an M, such a big deal, but 2.4 billion with a B not? That's just, Oh, but I think it was, the effectiveness of Rahm's working relationship with the city council. People of the city of Chicago, you have to be smarter in this, D. And unlike Joe Moore, this is, unlike Joe Moore, who decided back, I think it was, I think it was 2007 that he made that decision to go with Daley. Unlike Joe Moore, who essentially came to the conclusion that there was no point or purpose in batting your head against the wall because the people of the city of Chicago were sheep, who just did whatever the mayor said. Unlike Joe Moore, I'm not like that. I believe in the people of the city of Chicago. How about that, D? I believe that they're smarter than they've proven. I believe that they will stand up and do the right thing. It may take them a few years, like 100. Hope I'm around. Hope you're around to see the fruits of this. I'm making a bet on the people of the city of Chicago. They're not going to be fooled. Maybe Joe's right. So yeah, I can't even remember where Rahm! Please, Joe, please do not put Rahm Emanuel in your cabinet. We're going to be talking about this with Monroe. We've been talking about this a lot. There's like the split between the lefties and the moderates, the Democratic Party. Rahm is like, he can't stand the left base of the Democratic. Why would you alienate so needlessly the people who are already kind of iffy about you? I know a lot of lefties. A lot of lefties aren't feeling you, Rahm. I mean, Joe, I try to bolster him up. Like, come on, guys. He's really not a bad guy. He's just... Rahm Emanuel, I'll just tell you this, Joe Biden, top of everything else he's done, had evidence of a murder. Laquan McDonald murder. And he buried that evidence. And he only released that evidence, the videotape of the shooting. He only released that evidence because a Cook County judge ordered him to on a Freedom of Information Act request. That's the only reason we know about the shooting of Laquan McDonald. Everything that happened subsequent was because of that Cook County judge's ruling. That alone will haunt Rahm Emanuel for the rest of his life. That's his legacy in the city of Chicago. Why would you want to revive all that and have that on your hands, Joe Biden? You gotta have more sense. Please, Kamala Harris, please tell Joe he's gotta have more. So there's gotta be someone advising Joe Biden not to put Rahm there. D, I'm gonna have some faith in Joe Biden. I'm gonna say that most of these stories about Rahm getting that transportation department gig are being advanced by Rahm, and they're not being advanced by Joe Biden. So there, that's my view on this. I'm gonna send out good vibrations to get Joe Biden to do the right thing. Hold on, good vibration time.
Ooh, send those good vibes. Send those good vibes. Come on, Joe Biden, make the right decision. Wait, what's that?
Play the radio. Make sure the television. Excuse me.
Okay. You've said that a lot on the show, sir. All right. By the way, shout out to Brianna on the live stream chat. Brianna says, hell, I wouldn't put Rahm in my kitchen cabinet. Oh, didn't like that one. He was drinking water when...
You should have done that while I was drinking the water. There's now water on my notes, and I can't read my notes.
Okay. Get a camera on your computer, and maybe I could have seen that. You know what I mean, boss?
Actually, I've learned subsequent, it's not the computer that is the issue, D. It's the monitor. That was Mike Flannery.
He's getting there, guys. Guys, he's getting there, okay?
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a new monitor, and then I'll be able to see everybody.
Baby steps, guys. Baby steps. All right, so let's read more alderman and alderwoman quotes. Their thoughts on why Lori is struggling to get these votes that she needs. We do have breaking news, by the way. We're going to talk about that in minutes. But right now, let's talk about the chairman of the council's Black Caucus, the caucus that was, in fact, told to, quote, not ask the mayor for shit if they voted against her budget. It's Alderman Jason Irvin. Ben of what ward?
28th.
Oh, yeah. What a nerd. Without hesitation. All right.
Who was his predecessor?
Oh, I don't know. Maria Haddon. Okay, so let's do the quote.
Ed Smith. Go ahead.
Oh, wow. Here's the quote from Jason Irvin, quote, "The previous mayor had relationships built over years. She's honestly been the only person that has come into this situation without having really any relationships with anyone. It takes time to get there, to build that type of relationship."
God. Was this Jason saying this?
Yep.
I don't know if Rahm had any relationships with anybody when he came in. They were just scared of him. Plus, he was Barack Obama's chief of staff. They like all of Chicago was bedazzled by that. They loved Barack Obama in Chicago. So, you know, wow, he was chief. How many voters said this to me? Apparently, he's Barack Obama's chief of staff. You know that, don't you? Oh, yeah, I did know. Michelle Obama pretty much threw him out of the White House because he's so annoying, couldn't take another minute of him, and dumped him on us. You know that, don't you? Oh, I never thought of that. So, I mean, this notion of relationships, so exaggerated. You know, I give Jason Irvin credit for, like, moving the Black Caucus in a different direction, inching it, you know, like every now and then trying to negotiate for something. As opposed to the Black Caucus into the days of Rahm, where, okay, sounds good to us, we'll vote for it. You know, now Jason Irvin at least says, well, wait a minute, we want something before you get our votes. What he get, you could debate whether what they get is of a value. God, I got to bring Mace Jackson back. I would love to get Mace. Mace Jackson, got to bring him back to the show. If nothing else to talk about City So Real, but Mace Jackson on the subject of the Black Caucus is pretty funny. You got to get something. Isn't that how it goes in Chicago? Isn't it? We're such transactional people. You know, isn't that how we do things in Chicago? So I give Jason Irvin credit for, you know, moving forward a little bit on that whole transactional thing. A lot of members of the Black Caucus voted for the Lincoln Yards TIF deal, by the way, which does absolutely nothing for any poor Black neighborhood in the city of Chicago, except divert property taxes that might otherwise help them. So I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing that they're a little more vigilant than they were under Rahm. It's got nothing to do with relationships that were built. It's not a good thing for your ward if you have a good relationship with the mayor and the mayor gets you to vote for things that hurt your ward. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing if you, like, go out for lunch with the mayor and in exchange for going out for lunch with the mayor, vote for TIF deals that suck money out of your ward. So I just think this whole notion, D, of relationships built is like a myth. No good relations. I don't believe there's one alderman who legitimately liked Rahm in the whole city council. They may say it because they're afraid of him. They, like, bite their head off.
Well, Ben, maybe Alderman Roderick Sawyer, 6th Ward Alderman, can change your mind on that. He agreed politics and government is a relationship business. He said, quote, Lightfoot is picking that up and understanding that more and more every day. Once she gets a hold of that, she will probably be in a much better shape or a much better space.
Well, this seems to be the theme of the day. I love you. You love me. We're a great big family. I hope they have bad relationships. That means if they force Mayor Lightfoot to make concessions that help their community, as opposed to good relationships, which they approve whatever dumb proposal the mayor comes up with. How about that, D? Ever think of that?
Oh, never in my life.
This sounds like toxic relations, just saying. This sounds like this kind of relationships that you need a marriage counselor to come on in and help you out a little bit.
Well, speaking of toxic, believe it or not, France Beelman got a quote from indicted 14th Ward Alderman Burger King Ed Burke on the matter.
Big Eddie. Okay, what did Ed say?
Burke talked about the property tax. After all, his years in the finance committee, he's got quite a bit. He does know the city budget well. Ed Burke said, quote, the property tax in Chicago has historically been toxic. And I'm sure that the other members are hearing what I'm hearing when I go to church and people walk up to me and voice their concern. We know there's going to be some federal money coming. Why not anticipate that? Make some adjustments here and refrain from this increase in the levy.
Wow. Where do I start with quoting Ed Burke? That would be Ed Burke, who's under federal indictment.
Oh, and
Ed
that
Burke?
quote was brought to you by the 14th Ward Burger King. Forgot to mention that.
That Ed Burke That Ed Burke, who is so toxic, he's largely responsible for Lori Lightfoot's victory because she was one of the few candidates who had no relationships to Ed Burke. That Ed Burke, the Ed Burke who pretty much destroyed the political career of Tony Preckwinkle, that Ed Burke, the Ed Burke who is to the city of Chicago what Michael Madigan is the state of Illinois, that Ed Burke. Oh, I'm glad we're listening to him. Ed Burke. By the way, that was the funny thing. Like I'm walking to church and the ordinary peasants of Chicago come up to me and they go, Mr. Alderman Burke, please don't raise my property taxes. And I'm listening to them as I go to church. Just suddenly Ed Burke is listening. I assume Ed Burke was walking to church during the years of Rahm Emanuel and Mayor Daley. I assume he went to church those years too. And I assume that he passed ordinary citizens, constituents from his ward as he walked to church. I can't imagine, D, in the days of Rahm, in the days of Daley, that any ordinary citizen of the 14th ward, as they passed Ed Burke on his way to church, said to him, oh, Alderman Burke, I love property taxes. Keep raising my property taxes. I really like them. It wasn't like property taxes suddenly became toxic when Lori Lightfoot became mayor, the same Lori Lightfoot, by the way, who used Ed Burke as sort of the personification that was all that was wrong with Chicago. So that she got elected because she would have nothing to do with Ed Burke. So now Ed Burke's getting his revenge by saying, good luck with your little property tax thing. The same Ed Burke who passed every single property tax that Rahm and Daley wanted, routinely, every single TIF deal that raised your property taxes, just rubber stamped it through his finance committee. Now, I know that Ed Burke knows that property taxes are toxic. You know how I know that, D? Because he has made a very lucrative business out of doing property tax appeals for some of the wealthiest downtown property owners, including one, Donald John Trump. So why are we listening to Donald John Trump's property tax lawyer give us advice on property taxes? Please explain that to me, D. You know, was Ed Burke concerned about the ordinary people he bumped into on the way to church in the 14th Ward when he was getting a reduction in the amount of property taxes that Donald John Trump paid on his downtown tower? Huh? I don't think so. Even though by reducing the amount of taxes that Donald Trump paid, he raised the amount of taxes that those people, those ordinary, lovely Chicagoans, that he passed on the way to church every Sunday as he went to church. By reducing the amount that Donald Trump paid, he raised the amount that the people in the 14th Ward paid. That's funny. I never heard Ed Burke concerned about the property taxpayers of the 14th Ward, and he was reducing taxes on Donald John Trump. So, D, I'll just say this. The last person I want to hear from when it comes to giving advice on property taxes would be Ed, I love you, Donald John Trump, Burke.
All right, let's read some more quotes here from aldermen who are talking about Lori Lightfoot's struggle on getting the 26 votes, or 25, sorry, Ben, and their thoughts. Up next, it's Lightfoot's handpicked zoning committee chairman. It's Alderman Tom Tunney. Ben, of what ward?
44th.
Never change. I hope you never, ever change.
All right, 10 trivia points. Name the restaurant he owns.
Okay, I hope you do change when it comes to that. He's... Ann Sather. Ann Sather.
Get that man a cinnamon roll right now.
Please, absolutely. Someone seriously do that. Tunney questioned why the mayor chose to freeze property taxes in her first budget instead of confronting the city's $30 billion pension crisis, saying, quote, "We all clapped our hands last year saying there was no property tax increase, and yet you knew these ramp-ups were coming. So now you're doing the CPI where we should have been doing it before and making the tough vote in our first year of the administration rather than this fear-mongering about the tax bill will come when the voters are trying to decide who their next alderman is. I find it a little disingenuous."
Yeah, you know what I find disingenuous, young Tom? I find it disingenuous that you voted for that Lincoln Yards TIF deal and never once mentioned the property taxpayers of the 44th Ward. Because as I like to say, that TIF deal, like every TIF deal you voted for, raises property taxes. So I just feel compelled to point this out, that all these vigilant guardians of the property taxes increases, trying to protect the citizens of the ward from property tax increases, only do so when it comes to these mayoral budget debates. When it comes to TIFs, they pretend that doesn't increase the property taxes. And that's why, D, I raised the white flag last year and said, you know what? If they're going to pretend that TIFs don't raise property taxes and we need money to pay our obligations, make the whole city a TIF and pay the obligations with the TIF revenue. And then Tom Tunney and Ed Burke can go back to pretending that we haven't raised taxes at all, even as we pay more money in property taxes.
Okay, that is not how to get free cinnamon rolls, dude.
I know, I blew it again.
Come on, man.
Let me redo the whole thing. Hold on. I think Tom Tunney is an outstanding citizen, alderman, and I love his cinnamon rolls.
Oh, they're amazing. Please. They're great. Send some to us. I'll edit that, and then that'll be good. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, let's do one more quote here. It's from our good friend. We haven't heard from her in a while. The 10th Ward Alderwoman herself, one Sue Sadlowski Garza. She pushed for the $16 a month employee head tax on Amazon and other logistics operators with more than 50 employees, saying, quote, as far as I'm concerned, $1.25 on a package coming to my door that I'm paying, I don't think the consumer is going to see it. I just wanted to get Garza in there in the news.
Yeah, Sue Garza. She loves Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, ladies and gentlemen. She loves Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that Amazon tax, D? I never get anything from Amazon.
You're asking me? Who do I look like? Scott Wagaspack or something? Who am I?
Do you ever get anything from Amazon?
Not really. Every now and again I will. If it's something kind of rare or random, you know what I mean? I will.
Yeah. So, hey, fine with me. Raise it on there. Since I never used the damn thing, sure, let somebody else pay for it. I'm with you, Sue.
All right, now real quick here, back to former Alderman Joe Moore. He weighed in with more on this Fran Spielman article. Fran, great work. Great work. Check out the Fran Spielman show, guys, everybody, at the Chicago Sun-Times website. She interviews the big wigs. Oh, and she holds nothing back. She corners them. It's good times. All right. Back to former Alderman Joe Moore. On the anniversary of Lightfoot's first year in office, Joe Moore warned the day of reckoning was coming for Lightfoot with, quote, a lot more socialist and uber-left progressives on the council who are going to vote against her no matter what because of her pragmatic governing style.
Oh, my God.
Moore then likened Lightfoot to Bruce Rauner, a my way or the highway outsider who became a one-term governor. Obviously, we know all that. Moore said Lightfoot, quote, might be able to cobble together the 26 votes she needs to pass the budget, but he wouldn't bet on it. And then he says, quote, when you're a week away from a budget vote and you're 11 solid votes behind, that's not a good sign. And then, here we go, Ben, just wait till we get the quote out here, okay? He says, in the Daley and Rahm days, they were all about running up the table. They weren't just fighting and clawing for 26 votes. They were fighting and clawing for 46 or 50 votes.
Okay, Joey, calm down. All right? It'll be all good. As I said, covered much of this already. That's not exactly a virtue to find 48 lemmings willing to march off a cliff with the mayor, or 45. How about that? I think it was 45. I have to look it up. Who voted for the parking? Not a good thing. Not a good way to run a city. Just remember when they had the parking meter deal? Alderman Richard Mell said, nobody reads this stuff anyway. Just vote for it. That's your good old days. That's my Bill Burr. That's your guy. You like that? That's your guy? That's what you want to emulate, huh, Joe? Oh, the good old days when nobody read, nobody paid attention, no alderman followed anything, just did whatever they told. That's your idea of good government, huh, Joe? And by the way, and the total gratuitous red baiting about the left, the uber left. When I first heard you say that, I go, did he say Uber Lyft? Was he like getting his ride sharing things mixed up? And they go, Uber left. Well, shot. I remember when Joe Moore was the Uber left. Good God. How far the mighty have fallen. I remember when Joe Moore, again, took a strong stand on the big.
Hang tight, guys.
Up to. I remember Joey when he was doing that.
Wait, you remember Joe? You cut out there. You said you remember Joe when he Hey, you kind of cut out there. You said you remember Joe when he was doing what?
I remember Joe Moore when he was standing up for the workers in big box, like Walmarts, etc., asking for a higher minimum wage for them. And the right in this town, or the center in this town, everybody attacked him as a lefty. So it's so funny to hear Joe Moore use the rhetoric that was once used against him, against the people who are sort of like
Oh boy.
The sentence. I was like a daily mode where I started a sentence, didn't know where I was going to end it, and hope it worked out. Point is, Joe, doesn't look good on you, okay? It doesn't look good on you to see you doing the same thing that people used to do to you. And to do it to what? To justify the Lincoln Yards deal? Is that what you're justifying? The way we did things back just a year or so ago? So no, I read that. And by the way, I'm going to stand up for the lefties in the city council. These are some of my favorite politicians in the city. They're not just routinely, this is so Chicago. Oh my God. This is what they used to say about Joe Moore. Oh, you're just voting no because you want to vote no. Wait, I don't believe in something? I don't, like my vote, I'm voting no. I don't have like a justification for it. You just want to be the no guy. That's what he always would tell me, oh, you just don't like Daley. Even my dear friend Romani, you just don't like Rahm. Wait, you think this is all about I don't like Daley? Or I don't even know these people. What, Jeanette Taylor? You saying Jeanette Taylor doesn't have principle, Joe? Is that what you're saying? You're saying the great Jeanette Taylor got more guts and courage than probably any politician in the city of Chicago? She doesn't believe in what she says? You don't think Maria Hadden believes in what she says? Or Matt Martin? Matt Martin's got a lot of guts. He's alderman of the 47th Ward, of affluent ward, well-to-do ward, Mayor Rahm's ward. I live in the 47th Ward. I know how people in this ward think. Matt Martin is standing up for, like, people don't even live in this ward. You don't think he has any convictions? What, do you think he just wakes up and go, I'll vote no because I just want to vote no? No, there's like progressive ideas that you used to believe in and that you used to fight for. And that's what the Matt Martins and the Maria Haddens and the Jeanette Taylors and the Carlos Ramirez Rose, that's what they're fighting for. It might be embarrassing to you when they articulate their point of view and it makes the rest of the city council look a little regressive. It may be awkward for the other aldermen to have to vote in the face of these arguments from the left, but I don't think it's fair to just to lump them up as just the no group. Oh, I just want to vote no because they don't like the mayor. It's not a personal thing. It's not like the high school and the cafeteria. This is what they believe in. This is what they ran on. What do you want to abandon everything they ran on as soon as they get elected? Well, I got elected now. Now I'm gonna throw away everything I ran on. I'm gonna sell everything out because I just want to be one of the yes. I want Lori to get a 48-2 win on the budget.
You know, I knew you had a lot to say about this article today. All right, now let's go to the breaking news.
We even got to the breaking news.
We're here. Come on. Now to the breaking news. All right, this comes from who else but Fran Spielman. The Finance Committee okays tax hike package, including the $94 million property tax increase. Mayor Lori Lightfoot's $195.7 million revenue package got the go-ahead from the Finance Committee. 18 votes were needed for passage. The final vote was 21-12. Oh, we got the no group. We got the no guys. The aldermen voting no were Brian Hopkins of the 2nd Ward, Anthony Beal of the 9th, Patrick Daley Thompson of the 11th, Marty Quinn of the 13th, Edward Burke of the 14th, our good friend Ray Lopez of the 15th, Matt O'Shea of the 19th, Sylvana Tabaris of the 23rd, Anthony Napolitano 41st, Brendan Riley 42nd, Tom Tunney 44th, and Deborah Silverstein a lady I don't think we've ever talked about on the show, of the 50th ward. The vote on the rest of the revenue package was 20-12. Only one of the no votes was cast by a member of the 20-member Black Caucus. Chairman Jason Irvin told the Sun-Times the Black Caucus came around after the mayor agreed to increase funding for violence prevention and for a pilot program to respond to emergency calls involving people suffering from mental health issues. She also agreed to pinpoint future capital projects on the south and west sides.
Well, I just like to point out for Joseph Moore's edification that none of those no votes were cast by anyone resembling an uber leftist or an uber liftist, if that's what he actually meant to say. Not one. I'm looking at those guys. Those are all like downtown aldermen, like Brian Hopkins, Mr. I Love Tiffs, and Brendan Riley, or they're aldermen from the outlying wards, the Napolitano in the 41st, O'Shea in the 19th, Lakefront alderman Tommy Tunney, Silverstein, Deborah Silverstein, Dennis's favorite alderwoman from the 50th ward, as Dennis knows.
I know.
No, she's not related to Shel Silverstein, although I do love Shel Silverstein. So, so these are not lefty aldermen. These are aldermen who are now running as protectors, defenders against property tax increases. And I'd love to go look and see which ones voted for the Lincoln Yard TIF deal, which probably will raise property taxes much more than the $94 million property tax hike in this budget. And by the way, can I just say this? Looks like Mayor Lori Lightfoot got her 26 votes, D. If she got 21 in the Finance Committee, looks like she's going to make it. So, Joe, doesn't matter. She's going to pass her budget. It's so weird. Like, I feel like I'm happy for Lori. I've really got my issues with Lori Lightfoot these days, the way she's running the city and everything. But when I see this counterattack, this counter narrative, I kind of like rooting for her, So, hey, just saying, Joe, she got her budget. It's not like, and the great relationship advice that Tom Tunney was giving and Ed Burke was giving. Hey, guys, doesn't matter if you get 48-2 or 26-24, budget still passed. The deal still goes through. So it looks like she got her budget. Not saying it's a great thing. I'm just saying she got her budget. After all that, she got her budget.
All right, and there it was, a highly dramatic, jam-packed episode. What will happen next week? Well, we'll have to tune in to find out. Tune into a mayor and her alderman.
A mayor and her alderman.
I don't want an answer. It's not something you ignore.
I think you're 100% full of shit, is what I think.
The good old days.
All right, everybody, find us on social media at Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also send us an email, bennyjshow@gmail.com, if you'd like us to read your email on the program. Well, we'd love to do it. Just leave your name and where you're from. In fact, Ron reached out to us on email. I guess he's listening live. He said, "Dear Ben, I'm from the 49th Ward. Thank you for criticizing and giving the history of Joe Moore. I'm sick of hearing from Joe Moore. Thank God we now have Maria Haddon." Thank you very much, Ron. You're awesome. You can always send us an email, and you can call us, 708-658-4788. The number again, 708-658-4788. Call the Ben Joravsky Show and leave us a voicemail. And if your voicemail isn't too insanely crazy, there's a good chance we're going to play it. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. And coming up, legendary Chicago journalist Monroe Anderson is going to be talking all things that election that I guess is still going on and more. It's the Ben Joravsky Show. We're live from my apartment and Ben's attic.
A mayor and her alderman.
There's a car ride happening right 1,000, 30,000, I don't know if anyone's counting. They're taking a stand, draw a line in the sand. Yeah, that's right, we're gonna tell you how to do your job now. That's the fine line between safety and liberty. And it zigzags all over the map like a cancer. You can figure out a way to fix the history. Either way, it's already moving on past you. What are we doing now? What are you thinking about? What are we doing now? Now we've reached the new road. What are we doing now? What are you thinking about? What are you doing now? Now we've reached a new low, 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 a new low,
That is correct.
Part 2 of your Ben Joravsky Show is brought to you by the Chicago Reader and the Chicago Federation of Labor. Benny J, take it away.
Every Wednesday, the legendary Monroe Anderson joins us. Legendary because he's been around a long time. He's worked for every news outlet in the city. He was press secretary to Eugene Sawyer, and he is unafraid to tell it like it is when it comes to one Donald John Trump Monroe. We're going to get to Donnie Trump. Got a lot of Trump talk, stuff to talk, but I just want to solicit your opinion. For the first hour, we've been talking local budgets. Lori Lightfoot got her budget approved in the Finance Committee. I don't know if you saw that. And it looks like she'll probably sail to through the city council as well. But some of the aldermen who have the old aldermen, like Ed Burke, your good friend Ed Burke.
He's not in jail yet.
No, he's not. Not only is he not in jail, he's giving advice. Monroe, he's giving advice. Okay.
Yeah. What's his advice? Don't go to jail.
Ed Burke, Mr. Property Tax Lawyer himself, giving advice. And I don't know why anybody's soliciting his advice, but anyway, he's giving advice. And I'd say it's a sign of weakness in the mayor and a sign of inefficiency in the mayor and a sign of her inability to have decent working relationships that she'll probably only get, I don't know what, 29 yes votes out of 50 or 30 yes votes out of 50 or 28, who knows, as opposed to 47 or 48. So in your humble opinion,
Yes.
are we a healthier city if we have 48 stooges willing to run off a cliff for a mayor? Or are we a healthier city if we have something resembling dissent and democracy? Your thoughts, Monroe Anderson.
Well, for, about 45 years, I've been searching for democracy in Chicago. We had it briefly during the Harold Washington years and briefly during the Sawyer years, but that was it. And so I'm not surprised we don't have it now again, because we don't have a boss. Daley was a boss, and Rahm was a boss. Wanted to let the train get by.
Yeah,
And
there we go.
so we don't have it now. I suspect that Lori wouldn't mind being a boss, but she has a couple of strikes against her.
What are those strikes?
That she is a she, and that she's black, and so they don't fall in line as quickly.
Well, that's a valid point, because all of a sudden, that's an interesting point. because I did spend a lot of time making fun of the aldermen who are just vigilant guardians of the taxpayers all of a sudden from the Northwest and the Southwest, including, by the way, I didn't mention this, Michael Madigan's alderman in the 13th Ward, Marty Quinn, voted no. And that in itself was a surprise because this is an indication. There's some messages in the tea leaves here, folks. In the old days, Michael Madigan's alderman of the 13th Ward pretty much did whatever the mayor wanted him to do because the mayors would let Michael Madigan do whatever he wanted to do down in Springfield. That was the working relationship that they have. And the fact that Marty Quinn, the alderman of the 13th Ward, voted no on Lori Lightfoot's budget is sort of an indication that maybe from Madigan's point of view, Monroe, those days are over. And maybe he thinks that Lori Lightfoot hasn't been as vigilant as she might be in supporting him. So that was something interesting. I hadn't thought about that, Monroe, the fact that now they're free to stand up to the mayor on tax issues because the mayor is a black woman. I hadn't thought about that. But she still got her votes, Monroe. She still got her votes.
Yeah, she's still the mayor. So she's not a boss. And there are those who already are trying to figure out how they will defeat her in 2.5 years or so. But right now, she's the boss.
Well, she got her budget passed, and
it's an impossible situation she's in with this budget. I mean, she came in way in the hole, and thanks to the pandemic, the hole has gotten much deeper. And unlike the feds, the president, she can't just write some more money, print some more money to get out of this hole. So she's got to make difficult choices, very difficult.
No, I have to make that. I have to concede that point. As critical as I may be at times with Lori Lightfoot, Mayor Rahm never faced anything remotely as difficult and trying as this pandemic.
Right.
And even Mayor Daley, who dealt even Harold Washington, who dealt with the recession of the early '80s,
right,
and your mayor, Mayor Sawyer, had to deal with the recession of the early '90s. Even they, actually your guy was out by '89. Even they didn't have to deal with anything as if your guy was out in '89. Forget negatory. Forget I said that. I just remember he didn't make it to the '90s. I voted for him, Monroe. I just want you to know that. Okay, I voted for your guy.
Okay, good.
Well, he was running against Daley. What do you expect me to do?
I know.
But so you got to take that into consideration. All right, let's move on to Donald John Trump. So many issues to discuss when it comes to Mr. Trump. And I suppose the one that's on your mind, because I woke up this morning, I had like 5 emails from Monroe that he sent me, all these solicitation appeals. I've been getting them too, Monroe. All these solicitation appeals, email solicitations. What's that?
I know that you're not a no man, so okay. Money.
Well, I just want you to know, Monroe, today I doubled the amount that I gave him yesterday, okay? Which is 10 times more than I gave him last week, okay? So,
no wonder he was able to file a recount in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Thanks to my doubling the amount.
$3 million it's going to cost him.
Yeah, wow, what a waste of money. And sometimes I get these appeals that like they're chiding me. I don't know if you get these. Like they'll go, Ben, this is the 5th letter we've written. Fifth letter. We've not gotten any money. Come on now. Donald's in trouble. Like, stop writing me letters then.
And mine tell me that I'm one of his most valued supporters. And whatever I contribute, they will match it 1,000 times over.
No, okay. Just so you know, that's not what I discussed this already. That is a great point. I saw that. They're not saying they'll match it 1,000. It's typical Donald Trump ambiguity. You know what I mean? It's like if you were to match it at that, they go to increase your impact by 1,000%. What does that even mean? To increase your impact, they're hoping some like MAGA dummy goes, oh wow.
Right. Or there will be some MAGA dummies that are going, oh wow.
Anyway,
and of course, I'm sure you've discussed this, that the money is not going to get it to check out the cheating and all that. Most of it will be going to pay off his campaign debts.
Now, that's a question that people ask me, and I don't know the intricacies of campaign law, and I should take a deeper dive on this. If he raises money from suckers and saps under the guise of paying defense fund, does that mean he's limited to using it for defense funds? Or if it's going to the Trump campaign fund, can he use it for anything?
I think he's obligated, if I recall what I read, he's obligated to use 15% of it for the defense fund. 15%.
Oh my God, that means 85%. Even I can do the math. 85% he could just spend on anything.
Right, exactly.
Campaign related.
Right.
Wow.
Exactly. And so, and that's why they're doing it. This is why he hasn't conceded yet, because he's using this as a fundraiser. The theory is that he's using it to pay off some campaign debts, because, and I know you're going to be surprised by this, because remember when he ran in 2015, 16, he said he was so rich he didn't need money from anybody.
Yeah, I remember that.
He's going to pay for his own campaign.
Yeah, I remember that.
Billions and billions and billions of dollars. Well, somewhere along the line, that didn't happen, and I wonder why. So anyway, he's in debt. The campaign's in debt, and so he's going to use a lot of that money to depending on how much he raises, to pay off his campaign debts. But if there is an overflow, if the suckers really kick in right and there's an overflow, then it's going to help him launch his own media company.
Oh, I doubt there'll be that much of it. Listen, he's got bigger. Before we get to the media company, which is something I would love to talk to you about, to rival Fox. Before we get to there, he has so many challenges facing him. That's a euphemism. On so many fronts, so many lawsuits.
That's a euphemism for he's on his way to jail.
So it's like, before he launches his media, first of all, Donald Trump, you know this as well as anybody, Monroe, is not known for putting his own money in any venture. The secret to his success, and I give him credit for this, he's always managed to convince some sucker and some sap to kick in money to something that he will benefit from. And it's going on right now with this defense fund. It's how he funded Trump Tower in Chicago. He didn't pay any money for Trump Tower in Chicago. You know that. He got Deutsche Bank and other.
Let me give Burke a call and check on that and see if you're right or not.
Ed Burke. Yeah. Taking advice on property taxes from Donald Trump's property tax lawyer. Come on, Chicago. God damn. What a weird city we are. We could consider him somebody we turn to for advice. Wow. I feel this is the issue. I'm going to check in with some lawyers on this one. This money that he collects for his defense fund regards to challenging the election, can he turn around and use that for his defense fund, let's say, on his income tax case, or the case that E. Jean Carroll has filed regarding his
right? I'm 90% sure that he can.
Yes. or he'll try. You know, I mean, he'll try to do it, and let's see if someone. That's the other thing Donald Trump does. Well, I'm going to do it and see if you can stop me.
Right.
So yeah, I'm not certain that this is going to go for a media company. We'll get to the media company, but just your thoughts in general, Monroe, on how Donald Trump's legal challenges are prevailing.
Oh, let's see. He makes the Chicago Bears look like they're Super Bowl bound. like in comparison, I mean, he hasn't won anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the only lawsuit he won in Pennsylvania. That's where they challenged the poll watchers being able to be closer, and so he won, and the poll watchers were able to go from 10 feet away to 6 feet away, or something like that. But that's the extent of his wins. Although, of course, he's claiming more wins than that because he lies
every day. How about his lawyers in Michigan? This is fascinating. His supporters in the Wayne County clerk's office. I can't remember the exact body, but the Republicans on the body were saying they were proposing to throw out all the votes from Detroit. You know,
right.
Like, whoa, there you go.
Right.
You know?
No, it wasn't even they throw them out. They wouldn't certify them.
They wouldn't certify them. That's what I meant. Yes.
Two Democrats and 2 Republicans.
Yes, they wouldn't certify.
Says, we're not, this is, Donald Trump said they're cheating and stealing or what have you. So we're not going to certify these votes, although they're from the good citizens, the good black citizens of Detroit who voted against Trump. And there were so many of them that it would have shifted the win in the state.
Yeah, by the way,
the
one of the fundraising appeals I get for the defense fund and for the race in Georgia comes from Herschel Walker. I'm really curious what he thinks about this strategy in Detroit. Detroit doesn't get, let me see, we don't certify the votes in Detroit, but we'll certify the votes from the all-white suburbs outside of Detroit. Yeah. Somehow or other, those votes are more pure. Follow me on this one, Monroe?
Oh yeah. Now, I am reminded of the mayor of Detroit. God, I'm blanking on his name now. He was the mayor of Detroit back in the 70s.
Coleman Young.
Yeah, Coleman Young. They were trying to get gun control in Detroit, and Coleman used to walk around with a pistol on his hip. The mayor. And Coleman had this press conference, and they were trying to get gun control. And Coleman Young says, "Why should I disarm the good citizens of Detroit when they are surrounded by hostile suburbs?"
He said that?
Yes.
What a mayor. Coleman. We could use a little Coleman Young in the city of Chicago right now. What a character Coleman Young was.
Right.
But that's just, that you talk about a desperate heave. Well, listen, the Republicans made it clear that they were.
That they're racist.
Yes.
They're going to be racist. You know how we talked about how white people kept disappointing me over the past 40 years or so?
Yes.
Well, will you stop and think that 58% of white Americans voted for Trump?
Yeah.
A man who was impeached, who is a liar, a cheat, in Putin's hip pocket, and they chose him because it makes no sense whatsoever, except for the R word.
By the way, we had a conversation with Jason Lee, who's a political strategist, a young political strategist in Chicago, and he had some very interesting observations about black men and pollsters. And his theory, Monroe, and I'll run it by, get your thoughts on this. His theory is that, by and large, when black men tell pollsters that they're going to vote for Donald Trump, that's an indication that they're probably not going to vote at all. That his guess is that explains why the polls of black men show a much higher support for Trump than actual vote counts.
Well,
do.
what about the exit polls?
Exit polls a poll. A poll's a poll.
But the exit poll they voted already.
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen the exit polls.
Yeah.
Well, exit polls generally are not as high. In other words, the actual exit poll is not usually as high as a pre-vote poll, if you forget what I'm saying, which is his point. It falls the 18% is generally in a poll as opposed to an exit poll, which I thought was an interesting theory. But that, in other words, that it's just a sign of alienation. They're not going to vote anyway.
Right.
I thought that was good. All right. So you don't believe that Donald Trump will be successful in these legal challenges.
See, when you talked about legal challenges, I thought you were talking about the post-presidency legal challenges. I didn't realize you were talking about the challenges now.
I don't think he's going to be successful in those challenges either, exactly. Which is why he's fighting so hard on these challenges.
Right. Well, you didn't read my Facebook. I went through all the trouble of.
I didn't know you did it. Hold on. Let's go to the Facebook. I did not know because you said you might not do it. No, hold on. Let me look. Here we go. You went through the trouble of here we go. What? I'm sorry. I love Monroe's Facebook post. Here we go. Why is lame duck Trump MIA? Why are Republicans falling for the great grifters fake didn't lose scam? Why is Trump trying to sabotage President-elect Biden's administration before he is even sworn in? Will the Democrats win in Georgia and take over the Senate? Why did the liar-in-chief fire Christopher Krebs for telling the truth? Monroe, the last thing you said before we stopped our pre-show was like, I don't have anything to write. You got a ton of stuff to write.
Well,
Ben and I will discuss it.
Conversation with you.
It fired you up. So let's answer.
Yoda. After talking to my personal Yoda, I feel.
Yeah. That's what I am. I'm Monroe's Yoda. I really want to talk Georgia with you, but why did the liar-in-chief fire Christopher Krebs for telling the truth? Talk about that a little bit. Christopher Krebs got fired. Go ahead.
Okay, Christopher Krebs is in charge, or was in charge, of protecting us from enemies on the internet, national security. And when I say the internet, I don't mean just the voting part of it, but from Russia and China and everybody hacking us. I mean, he was the man who was in charge of all that. He had come from Microsoft to do this. Mm-hmm. And if you'll recall, about 10 days ago or so, he said that basically patted himself on the back and said, I did a great job. Yeah. This has been the safest, most secure election in American history. And now he's saying this at the same time that Trump is already lying about how the Democrats have stolen stuff this way and that way. That's the only reason he lost the election, or was losing the election at the time. And so Krebs kept insisting that the election is legit. And so Trump fired him by tweet a couple of days ago, charging that he was wrong, Krebs was wrong, and that the election had been stolen by the Democrats. And so Krebs didn't know what he was doing. He'd done a lousy job, and goodbye, Krebs.
Yeah.
To which the Republicans are not happy about that, because the problem with Trump's approach right now, by claiming that the votes are no good, is that there were Republicans who got elected.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's where it all falls apart because unfortunately, the Republicans that got elected. Unfortunately,
there's one other way it falls apart too. It's with Trump's logic. If the Dems stole the election from Trump, why didn't they follow through on it and steal the election for the Senate as well? They say, okay, well, we're going to get Trump regardless, but we'll let Mitch stay in office.
Yeah.
Well, he'll keep us from doing anything.
Yeah. It's so obviously made up. Now, here you go. Why are Republicans falling for the great grifters fake didn't lose scam? That's a question you ask, so you answer it.
They're falling for it because they're trapped in an alternate universe, the Fox universe, where it's ultimate facts. And so what they see and what they hear, of course it was stolen. He said 6 months ago that they were rigging, that if he lost, they rigged the election. And lo and behold, he lost, so therefore it was rigged.
Yeah, they're not ready to break from Trump.
No.
They're not. Lindsey Graham is, in fact, doubling down. Lindsey Graham, a senator from South Carolina, is just all in.
Which takes us to Georgia right now.
All right.
Lindsey. If the Democrats get the two senators up for election, they win that, then the Republicans of Senate, there will be 50 Democratic senators and 50 Republican senators. Vice President Harris will be the deciding vote. So Mitch will no longer be the leader of the Senate, and therefore they won't be able to stack the courts anymore because the Dems will be in control. And so this is very important to the Republicans. It's important to us too. And I wouldn't bet the family jewels on this, but I really believe that the Democrats are going to take it.
Both seats. Both. Oh, it's going to go in pairs, whichever way. It's going to go. Either the two Republicans are going to get it or the two Democrats. Now, why do you think the Dems are going to win it?
Okay, a couple of reasons. First of all, the Republican candidates are crappy. Terrible.
Okay, yeah.
Political scientific terms. And Purdue, while he was opposing, saying that the pandemic, the virus, was a hoax. Basically, he was taking that position. He went out and invested a lot of money in the stock market, shorting stocks and exploiting stocks that would make him money with the pandemic. And he's very rich. The woman, I forget her name, the blonde. Anyway, Kelly, yeah, Kelly. Kelly is she's supposedly the richest senator in the Senate. Has more money, and so they're used to they have the typical rich white American attitude where the world is my oyster, and they don't have a ground game. The Democrats, under the brilliant leadership of Stacey Abrams, have been developing the vote. They've added 800,000 votes to the rolls in Georgia, and she used the analogy, which I thought was great, that before in registering votes, it was like giving somebody the keys to the car, but not teaching them how to drive.
Mm-hmm.
But they've registered these voters and they've taught them how to drive. And they're driving them to the polls. And they have an incredible ground game, not only in Atlanta and its surrounding suburbs, but also in a number of the Black rural areas. And then they have, Asians and Hispanics, and I think they're going to pull it off. And
Well,
I'm on the ticket, so a lot of the Trump nuts aren't going to show up.
Well, that explains the last statement you made. Trump's not on the ticket. Also explains why Republicans are backing Donald Trump, because it's pretty obvious if you can stir up MAGA,
right?
With this notion that the election is fraudulent,
right.
It may pay off in Georgia. So my guess is that's what Lindsey Graham is all about, and Mitch McConnell is all about. And a little surprising to see who's, I shouldn't be surprised, let me take that back, but also lending her name to that is Susan Collins, the recently re-elected senator from Maine. Monroe, I'm getting emails from her too, that's very important to keep our Republican majority. We got to win both elections in Georgia. She's lending her name and whatever credibility she has to this cause as well. So it's
because she, like Trump with the impeachment, who was supposed to learn his lesson as a result of that, according to her. She hasn't learned her lesson. She won. She was supposed to go down, and she won. I don't understand how that happened, but she won, and so now she's not even going to pretend to be an independent Republican anymore.
Well, let's talk about why that happened. And that's a perfect transition to the next bigger topic I have on the paper to talk to you about. I've had so many guests about this, Monroe, the split, the divide in the Democratic Party between the Bernie crowd, now represented by AOC, and the moderates. Connor Lamb is generally the congressman from Pennsylvania, who's sort of the symbol of this. Your old friend Clarence Page wrote about this in the Tribune today. The rallying cry from moderates is the reason why the Susan Collins of the world were victorious, is that the left is so easy to demonize, and the left has driven away and alienated middle America. I'm just repeating the arguments that Clarence Page and other moderates have been making. The left has so alienated middle America with their rhetoric about defunding the police that Republicans can capitalize on it, and ultimately Republicans will capitalize on that in Georgia by demonizing the left. What's your thoughts about this?
Clarence gets things a little off the mark from time to time. The Democrats are not yelling defund the police. There is a small group of protesters. Biden has said he wouldn't defund the police. I mean, almost any and every Democrat who has been in office and is running has denounced that term. Clyburn said that he says that it's been his experience over these years that headlines can kill you, not what you say or do. He said it's when back in the civil rights days, burn baby burn, that headline destroyed the movement alone. With the defund the police, you don't have a lot of Democratic AOC, yes, of course, but she's not the leader of the Democratic Party. She is a small wing. But what has happened was when it was said first of all, if you listen to the Republicans, the cities were looted and burned to the ground. It was like Sherman going through the South, according to their interpretation of it. So, while they were looting and burning all these cities to the ground, they were yelling, defund the police.
Mm.
And so, boo, boo, to the moderate Americans.
Yeah. Well, but whether a majority of Democratic elected officials are supporting defund the police movements or not, the reality is that Republicans have very successfully exploited that notion. All right, so it seems. I'm still trying to pick apart.
They also exploited that Democrats are socialists.
Yeah.
And they exploited that Barack Obama was a Muslim.
Yeah.
And I mean, they lie, and they lie often, and they repeat the lie to where a certain part of the population comes to believe it.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe more. I would like to see an experiment where Democrats actually stood for something very substantive that would really understand. Like when Bernie ran, I know you're going to make fun of me because I love Bernie so much.
Yeah, no.
But when
I like Bernie enough.
Yeah.
I like him enough. Yes.
But he was very specific and concrete in what he stood for.
Yeah.
And ultimately, he was rejected by the Democratic voters in the primaries. I understand that. But he was very specific and concrete, and he didn't back away from it. I think a lot of people respected that. And so I would like to see Democrats more forceful about what they believe in and not so worried.
They're doing it. It hasn't sunk into you yet, but it's the virus.
Yeah.
Trump mishandled the virus. We're in a Great Depression. We have 250,000 Americans dead, and Biden is on it. I mean, he's acting like he's the president, and Trump is acting like he's running for the office for the first time. And it has nothing to do with it. But that's gonna be what will make the difference. And it's gonna shift a lot of things because Biden just stays on it. That's what the Democrats keep talking about. The COVID-19.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll close with a little dissension on the Republican side. It's not just dissension on the Democratic side.
Yeah.
And this alludes to the point you were making about Donald Trump's media company. The rank and file of the Republican Party, the hardcore MAGA hat wearers, are disenchanted with Fox.
Right.
They've been disenchanted with Fox for a while. They don't like Chris Wallace. And they're particularly upset with Fox for calling Arizona on election night for Joey Biden. It turned out Arizona did go for Joey B, so they got the right call. But MAGA is really angry at them.
They want him to. They want Fox to call Michigan. And Wisconsin, right?
For Trump, they wanted him called for Trump. Yeah, that was part of the strategy. Fox would call all these states for Trump early, and that would somehow or other give them a justification for stopping to count the vote, which is really weird because they, of course, completely contradicted themselves. When Fox called Arizona for Biden, they didn't suddenly say, oh, well, stop counting the vote. They wanted the vote counted. So I'm leading to this media company from Trump. I do not believe that Donald Trump has a wherewithal to finance such a media company, but I do believe that he'd be more than willing to lend his name to such an effort, and other people would put up the money. And they're going to seek to exploit this MAGA's disenchantment with Fox. Your thoughts?
My thoughts is that Trump, for the first time in his life, when he was president, was somebody. Before then, he's just a carnival huckster, standing outside the tent, telling you what great things were inside. As president, he had real power, and he was somebody. And so he wants to remain somebody. The last thing he wants to do is become insignificant again. And so by owning his own media company, of course, he will be somebody and he'll have power. He will remain with power. The problem is that, as you and I both know, he is a totally incompetent businessman. And so he can get his media company, and a year from January, it'll be out of business because it was mismanaged.
Yep. That would follow a pattern in Donald Trump's business career. Or it could be still in business and he'll just be managing it from Sing Sing or wherever Sally's at.
Right.
All right, Monroe. Good talking to you as always. Stace. Oh, I didn't ask you about Rudy and his 20 grand. Here you go. This is the question of the day. The New York Times ran a story that said multiple sources say that Rudy Giuliani asked that he be paid $20,000 a day to represent Donald Trump on his lawsuits. Rudy Giuliani responded to that accusation by saying it's not true, and that if they say it, they're liars. Liar, liar, liar. So who do you believe? The unnamed multiple sources or Rudy Giuliani? Go.
I don't believe the star of the new Borat who got caught straightening his shirt up while laid out on the bed with a blonde in there pretending she was interested in him.
Yeah, that's kind of where I stand on that one, too. Hey, Rudy, shaking down that campaign for 20 grand. There's not going to be a whole lot of money for Donald Trump's criminal defense fund if Rudy is sucking it all up.
And Rudy may have one of his own. Maybe that's why he's trying to, he may need a little something for his own criminal defense. In fact, there's going to be a whole lot of people going to although too bad we didn't get to talk about this, because this is a really interesting, talking about developments. There are those who think that Biden should let sleeping dogs lie, not pursue Trump or the Trump acolytes and all the criminal things they've done. And then there are others who say lock them up. And so we'll see how that shakes out.
We'll definitely see how that shakes up. But just as a preliminary question, at this moment in time, on which side of that divide do you stand? Lock them up or let them go?
I think Biden is wise not to lock him up or push that himself, because he's trying to unite the country. And that would be a no-starter if he did that. On the other hand, there's always New York.
And Biden does not control the state of New York.
Exactly.
All right. You keep up with the one hand this, one hand that, you're going to run out of hands after a while. All right, Monroe, stay safe and sound. We'll talk to you next week, all right?
Oh, okay. All right. Take care now.
That's the great Monroe Anderson every Wednesday in the Ben Joravsky Show. D, any updates for me?
Absolutely. Let's do the back half of the program here. Let's do this. Actually, Ben, before we do this, I know you're pumped up about the NBA draft tonight, right? Come on, buddy, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, I have this ball right here. I'm going to give you the rock. Take a shot. Take the jumper. Go. Oh, damn, you missed. Well, that's all right.
I'm hoping that you want my prediction?
No, we'll do the news, and we could talk about the predictions later on. It is a bonus interview that we're going to have featured for all of you. But we'll talk about that before we end it out here. Ben, we also have a voicemail to play as well.
Oh, okay. All right. And I also want to emphasize that we have a bonus interview that we'll be doing with Steve James. We'll be starting our series on City So Real with Steve James. We'll be interviewing him. I'll be interviewing him in about an hour or so, and it'll drop tonight at 7. So Steve James, director of City So Real, director of Hoop Dreams, and many other. Allen Iverson movie. Good God. Steve James has got quite a body of work. So we'll be talking to him in a little while.
All right. First up.
I'm a Trumpocrat. The Trumpocrat, that's right.
It's easy to forget sometimes, but yes, there are Trump lovers in Chicago too.
Yes.
And now we have one Republican committeeman who, along with the president himself, may be yelling voter fraud after November 3rd's election.
No collusion.
All right. It's time for the latest poll watch. 18th Ward Republican Precinct Committeeman Devin Jones said on Election Day that he saw improper handling of ballots, poll workers trying to change ballots, and Dominion machine malfunctions. Jones said in an interview, quote, "They had ballots all over the place. They had ballots on the desk where people checked in. They were eating chicken with the ballots sitting right there. They had ballots on a chair, under someone's coat. This is still the quote from this guy. At this one particular precinct, they were trying to redo the ballot, like remake the ballot after someone left, which is not the proper process." He continues here saying, "I know we used Dominion in Chicago, and I know that at more than half the predictions, there were issues with the counter, the machine that you slide the ballots in." And okay, this guy goes on and on. Jones said he reported his findings to authorities, but says he never got any follow-up. Now, this is where we give a shout-out to the meanest Illinois political bulldog in the yard, Capital Facts' own Rich Miller. Oh, get him back on the chain. He's dangerous. Check out CapitalFacts.com, everybody. It's a fantastic website. Rich Miller reached out to Jim Allen of the Chicago Board of Elections, and Allen said that no such complaint was filed with the board. The board keeps a database of all calls received on Election Day. Not one even resembles the allegations. So, according to the Chicago Board of Elections, no such discrepancy occurred.
Yes. Let me ask you this. The allegations that Jones made, who a man I never heard of before, D, until you mentioned his name, so I don't know him. Unlike my recitation about Alderman Joe Moore, former Alderman Joe Moore, I know nothing about this dude. Where were those allegations made? What publication, do you know?
I can take a look at it. I'm going to go to Capital Facts now.
Oh, see. Oh, you read about it on Capital Facts. I got it. Okay. Yeah, this is standard fare for the Republicans. I believe Jim Allen. I know Jim Allen. Jim Allen and I have had debates about the process here in the city of Chicago, but I believe Jim Allen's a man of his word, and he has a lot of integrity. He would not just make something up. So I believe him when he says that they got no reports from anybody regarding voter fraud. This is the line. This is the line that they're delivering. Everything about this line is just like underscoring the message they want to send. Even the line about chicken. Like, just think about what he's saying with the chicken thing. Like the voter counters. This is like straight out of Reconstruction. This is like straight out of the kind of like demonizing things that were said during the Reconstruction era. I mean, God, I'm maybe the only guy who even knows what Reconstruction. Reconstruction back in the 19th century. Yeah, I'm old, but I wasn't that old. But when after the Civil War, when black residents slaves were freed and were finally given voting rights, they were actually electing black officials throughout the South. And some of the cartoons that were used to demonize and mock and trivialize and taunt the elected officials, show them like eating chicken and stuff like that. So even that is like this born out of some ancient racist trope. But this is what the Republicans are doing right now. So they just say things like Philadelphia when they want to undercount the vote in Pennsylvania. They say Detroit when they want to win back Michigan in quotes, Milwaukee and Wisconsin. They always go to the cities of the states where there's the highest concentration of black people. I know what they're doing. It's pretty obvious. And it doesn't matter if the Republicans doing it are black or white. They're playing the same game. They're playing from the same playbook. I know there's black Republicans who support Donald Trump and are part of this effort, but I just see the game they're playing. I see the messages that they're sending out and their efforts what their strategy is essentially to reaffirm all the stereotypes that their believers subscribe to, which is that when people vote against Donald Trump, it's somehow an illegitimate vote, and that the only legitimate votes are the ones for Donald Trump. And no matter how much evidence you can give them to the contrary, they won't buy it. In fact, I'll go one step further. When you give them evidence of the contrary, they use that to justify the position they already have. And I know this because among the fundraising appeals I've received today, from Trump's people trying to raise money for Trump's legal issues, were messages that quoted the New York Times and the Washington Post. So it would say, the New York Times headline, there's no substantiation to any of the claims of fraud. CNN headline, no substantiation to any of the claims, et cetera, and so forth. Washington Post. And they go, see what the lamestream media is saying? They're trying to cover up evidence of voter fraud. So even when the experts say that there's no voter fraud, and those headlines appear in the paper covering what the experts say, the flip on the part of Trump is to say, well, see, it just proves our point. So it's not like you're going to have a rational discussion with any Republican on this issue. They want to they want to undo the election, or they want to raise money to pay Rudy Giuliani, or they want to raise money for Donald Trump's defense fund, or they want to win the elections in Georgia. So they're willing to undermine our belief in the voting system. And to do that, they want to play to every single stereotype and bias and racial trope that exists in this country. I think it's pretty shameful. But I mean, I've long since given up hope that you can find a Republican to denounce it. I'm still waiting for Republicans in the state of Illinois to denounce it. And D, it's interesting you say it's happening in Illinois. That wasn't a big game that was happening by the Republicans were pushing in Illinois, because, I mean, even Republicans conceded that Illinois was going to go for Biden. So that why fight Illinois? Illinois was a blue state. But I got to tell you this, Democrats. This is warning from an old Democrat. You're in trouble in the state of Illinois. You're in trouble. This was not a good election in Illinois, in my humble opinion. Fair tax went down. Judge Kilbride went down. Some state rep seats in the Chicago area were lost. I don't think that Durbin's margin of victory was as large as it should have been. I see J.B. Pritzker really struggling right now. And you have a problem. You have a credibility problem in the state of Illinois. We didn't do our Madigan update about who's on the bus. We'll do that tomorrow. I'm sure that we'll get to that. But you have a problem in the state of Illinois. And you don't want to address it because so much of the party is enthralled to Michael Madigan, don't want to stick their neck out, and back somebody else. But you have a problem. And right now, as Dennis always points out, downstate, you've lost downstate. Our good friend Bob Diber, I looked it up. He didn't win Madison County. He was running for Madison County board president. He didn't win. Bob Diber, in my humble opinion, was the voice of reason for downstate Democrats. He extolled the virtues of unions and minimum wage, higher minimum wage. He was for a fair tax. He took progressive stands on economic issues that would presumably do well downstate, and he lost. So you have a problem, Democrats. You got to confront your problem. I guess the euphemistic way of saying it, D, is you got a messaging problem. And the issue is the leader of your party, Michael Madigan, has become a tool used by the Republicans to drub Democrats. Now, either Michael Madigan comes to his defense and becomes a more forceful advocate for what he believes in, or you have a divorce. But right now, it's a troubling time for Democrats. And when I listen to what this gentleman was saying, D, your quotes to him, he's just bringing Trumpism into the state of Illinois. He's just trying to play on the same fears that Republicans are exploiting in Michigan, or trying to exploit in Michigan and in Pennsylvania and throughout the country. He's trying to do that here in Illinois. Right now, Illinois is blue. There's no guarantee, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be blue forever.
And the website, centersquare.com. That's where
where that came from, where Rich Miller
I don't
got
know.
the information.
Yeah.
All right. And once again, this feller's name making these accusations is Devin Jones. Devin Jones, not Alex Jones.
That is correct.
Okay. Not him. All
That was
right.
good, dude.
Sounded a little
That was
like
good.
him. Sounded a little like him, but not him. All right. And Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker gave his daily COVID-19 update this afternoon at the Thompson Center. And we'll cover that on Thursday, along with who's now on or off the bus, ready to roll over Speaker Mike Madigan. Bus is still out there. But about the governor's Tuesday COVID-19 update. During his Tuesday press briefing, the governor said his family received hateful and threatening messages in recent days after a photo posted on social media erroneously claimed his daughter was dining with a large group of teens at a restaurant in downtown Chicago. The governor's office debunked the photo, but that did not stop it from being shared by radio shock jocks and the Chicago City Wire, a conservative-backed online site known for spreading misinformation. Many stories on the site do not have an individual's name attached, and the one using the picture features prominently on the site, despite it being 9 days old. Pritzker initially was visibly emotional, pausing when he said the incident prompted his family to change their holiday plans. His wife, MK, and daughter are now in Florida, where they will stay for Thanksgiving, while the governor and his son will remain in Illinois. So, this went down during Tuesday's press briefing. Ben, you got a chance to look at that, right?
Yeah, it was very troubling. And listen, everybody knows I'm sympathetic to J.B. Pritzker. He's in the middle of this pandemic. The challenges he faces are far greater than any other official in the state of Illinois. And he stumbled from time to time, absolutely. This is a very difficult, challenging moment. But by and large, I think he's tried to do the right thing by the people of Illinois. And this is another tactic by Republicans. They come at you hard. They're unafraid to make all kinds of threats, and it leads to violence. This is what happened in Michigan. The accusations that various militiamen wanted to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer because what? They thought she was a tyrant because she was trying to have statewide protocol to protect citizens. By the way, I'm looking at the states that are now having mask laws, Iowa with a Republican. Now that the election's over, Iowa, Republican, North Dakota, they got them. Republican governors are coming face to face with the challenges that they ducked when Donald Trump was running around the country trying to minimize the impact of COVID and having these super spreader rallies. And they're now sounding like Pritzker. Just pointing that out there. If you take seriously your responsibility to look out for the health needs of your citizens, then you got to confront the fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic. And the fastest way to stop the spread of it, or the easiest way to stop the spread of it, is to wear a mask. So now it seems like Republicans are slowly inching toward that now that the pressure of Donald Trump and his campaign is gone. But that doesn't stop the violence and the rhetoric and behavior of MAGA hat wearers against Democratic governors. So my heart goes out to Pritzker in this one, D. Look, I know he's a billionaire. We make fun of him. We make fun of the toilets. We make fun of Pritzker on this show. But he's a human being. And I think that was... where are the Republicans in the state of Illinois to stand up and take a stand against that? Where are they? Nowhere to be found. So my heart goes out to the Pritzker family. It's no good. I've been critical of a lot of politicians in Chicago and Illinois for the last 30 years, but I always leave the family out of it. I think I think Republicans should start doing that as well.
All right. And like I said, we're going to be covering Pritzker's COVID-19 update from Wednesday on Thursday's show. All right. And finally, real quick, the voicemail. Shout out to our insanely talented live stream chat listener, one Mike Girardi. He just reminded me on the live stream chat of a voicemail that he left. And, well, I never played it. It's pretty old now, and I'm a little embarrassed, but I think you'll still get a kick out of this, Ben. Ben, if you could, please tell me today's date.
oh my God, today's date, I got to look at the newspaper, is November 18th.
Okay. Well, this voicemail from Mike Girardi was sent on October 31st. Oh, my God. What the hell was that? Halloween. All right, so let's play the voicemail. Like I said, I think you'll get a kick out of it. My apologies, Mike Girardi. I'm working on this voicemail process, all right? Hey, if you want to leave a voicemail, who knows? Maybe we'll play it a month later, like Mike Girardi's, 708-658-4788. Let's hear this voicemail from Mike Girardi. By the way, if you want to hear Mike Girardi's songs that he made exclusively for the Ben Joravsky Show, head to Mike Girardi Bandcamp, Gerardi. Okay, here we go, Mike Girardi.
Hey, guys, it's Mike Girardi.
Okay, 1 second. I knew that was going to happen.
All right.
All right, here we go.
Hey, guys, it's Mike Girardi. So I know this is a bad time because the election is the biggest thing happening right now.
Yeah, very old voice.
But I want to offer you a quick distraction from the election and tell you about how I checked out this book from my beloved Chicago Public Library, and it's called Race and Politics in Chicago. And it was published a long time ago in 1987. And it was written by some hippie. I forget his name. But I was wondering as I was reading this, it talks about these voting blocks and differentiates between white ethnics and white liberals. And I was wondering, I wonder if that applies anymore, what the equivalent is nowadays. I'm curious what you think about that. And also, I think that there should be a sequel to this book and that it should pick up where it left off and go to the modern day because it's a great book. And I would recommend everybody read it who listens to the show. And I was trying to get a hold of the author, track him down to tell him to write a sequel. But, way back in 1987, it says in the back of the book that he worked for the Chicago Reader. And I'm sure he doesn't anymore because that was a long time ago. So if you ever run into him taking a walk at night, in a Bulls hat on the north side of Chicago, tell him to get back to me. All right. Take care. Have a good week, you guys.
And there he was, Mike Girardi. He's obviously talking about you, right?
Yeah, no, that was a long time ago. And Mike Girardi, God bless you. Thank you for doing that. You are such a good friend of the show. 1987. Good God, Dennis was like 2. I don't even know if Michael Girardi was born yet.
Yeah, I was 4.
Okay. Miles, I think of all the guests who come on my show on a regular basis who are either in diapers or unborn. And here I was writing about politics in Chicago. I tell you, folks, I've been doing this for a while. But I co-wrote it with my old friend, dear friend, Eddie Camacho and Eduardo Camacho. And we took a look at race relations in the city of Chicago and the impact it has on politics. And the alliance that I was alluding to is one that existed in the late 70s where Democrats on the southwest and northwest side were trying to build coalitions with lakefront liberal aldermen. And you don't see that directly that much anymore, but there's so many, the updates should be written, Mike, because what I am seeing, I just saw this on the budget vote, which we talked about earlier today. I saw this on the budget vote where there's this anti-property tax attitude on the north side lakefront wards and on the northwest and the southwest side when it comes to the city budget, of course. All these same aldermen, they don't apparently see that TIFs raise property taxes. I like to point that out. So that effort continues to a certain degree. And Mayor Daley made great success of that in the years following the publication of my book. Harold Washington was the mayor when I wrote that thing. But Mayor Daley was immensely successful at that. Mike, he immediately found a base of support on the North Lakefront that bolstered the support he already had on the southwest side. As you know, he comes from the 11th Ward, Bridgeport area and the southwest side, and on the northwest side as well. And that was pretty much unbeatable for him. And eventually the Black Wards came along to him as well. So I think that alliance, whether it's as spoken as much as it was in the past, is still very much alive. And was at play today, excuse me, when the city council voted for Mayor Lightfoot's budget, but the no votes came from the Northwest, Southwest, and Lakefront aldermen.
All right. Hey, everybody. Remember, you can find us on social media at Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can always send us an email, bennyjshow@gmail.com. And be like Mike Girardi. I'm getting better about playing these voicemails, all right? Maybe, I don't know, 3 days later I could probably play it. 708-658-4788. That number again, 708-658-4788. And hey, remember, you can download previous Ben Joravsky shows, Benny J bonus interviews, and so much more at the Chicago Reader website and wherever else you download your favorite podcast. If you're listening on download right now, check out the live stream. We go Tuesday through Friday, 1 until 3 p.m. Central Time on the Sun Times YouTube channel, but starting in December on the Chicago Reader YouTube channel only. So be on the lookout for that as well, and have a great day.
All right, very good. I want to thank Monroe Anderson. Excellent job as always. Dear friend of mine, Monroe Anderson, every Wednesday, the Ben Joravsky Show. And of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the pride of joy of Alton, Illinois, without whom the show ain't possible. And as Monroe and Mike Girardi will tell you, back home in Alton, they call him Dr. D. Give yourself a raise, take it out of petty cash. See you tomorrow, everybody.
I'm a Trumpocrat. 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 The Trumpocrat, that's right.